That's what they say, right?
Yeah, so they say.
I wonder whether there is something under settings to automatically default to the satellite clock versus manual set.
Hello.
Maybe. Okay.
I'll have to look at that. You're right.
I think we got.
It's 7 now.
We're ready to go. So we'll go ahead and call our February 2nd Town Council meeting to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. We could just do it for the purpose of this meeting. Seated. I pledge allegiance
Allegiance to
to
the
the
flag
flag
The United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Roll call, Kate.
Councilor Jellicoe Stetson. Mayor Kaczynski.
Here.
Councilor Luddy.
Here.
Councilor Payanessa.
Here.
Councilor Rosso. Councilor Rosso. Councilor Urnaga.
Here.
Councilor Veach.
Maybe they're mute. I thought I saw her call in. No, maybe not.
Hello, here's the glare.
Anna's muted.
Oh, maybe she's muted. Is she muted?
I'm here.
All right, there's Pete. Pete.
Okay, Mayor, you have a quorum.
Okay, great. Thanks. All right, so now we have our audience of citizens. If anyone wishes to address the council on anything certainly on our agenda tonight or any other issue before the town, now would be your time. Audience of citizens going once, going twice, going 3 times. Okay, hearing no one out there. Okay, we'll go ahead and close the audience of citizens and we'll go on to our meeting agenda. We have our consent agenda with, we have 4 items on the consent agenda tonight. Donations to the Berlin Animal Control.
Yeah.
$. Donation to the DARE Operating Manuals Expenditure Account. Donation to the fund for the Police Peer Support Program. And donation of $225 to the Supplies Expenditure Account. That's the police department. We have those 4 items. We reviewed them before the meeting. If we don't have any other comments or questions, we'll go ahead and take a motion. For consent.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, Councilor Luddy here. I make a motion to accept the 4 consent items tonight.
Thank you. Second on that?
I second.
All right. Any other comments or questions on the consent agenda? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Opposed? Motion carries. On to new business.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, everyone. The first item on the agenda is the police vehicle emergency equipment transfer, purchase, and installation. I believe Deputy Chief is joining us. I thought he was. Are you there?
You might have to unmute.
I think you got me now.
All right.
Try and do the *6. You on?
Be on.
Yeah, we got.
Okay. Yeah, so MHQ out of Middletown, they're our preferred vendor for outfitting our vehicles. We had them come down and go through each vehicle we're looking to replace and do a 1-for-1 quote on the equipment that's in there. The quotes for each vehicle were attached, and we're just looking for council approval to award the contract to them. The vehicles are due in this month.
Okay, thank you, Chief. Any questions from council? Hearing none. I know we've talked about this before. We've been waiting to get these vehicles outfitted, so that's good to see they're moving on. If not, I'll go ahead and take a motion.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, Council Floody here. I move to approve awarding contract to MHQ Inc. for the transfer, purchase, and installation of equipment for 4 police vehicles under the state contract 16 PSX 0033 for an amount not to exceed $31,562.51.
Okay, second on that.
I second it. Counselor Panessa.
Okay, any other comments or questions? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Number 2.
Agenda item number 2, the Berlin High School ductwork consultant approval for phase 2, design, bidding, and construction administration. Doug?
Good evening, everybody. How are you?
Hey, Doug.
Good. Yeah, this is part of the high school closeout. We discussed should these additional measures be taken. It was agreed that we would design this and put it out to bid and see what we come back with for numbers. So this is the next step in the process.
Okay. Didn't we hear something from the report? I thought we talked about this last time. Wasn't there some estimated price on this?
Yeah, this consultant has provided some cost estimates. So once we put it out to bid, we'll see what the real numbers come in at.
Okay. What was a rough estimate?
We're at the 300,000 to 400,000 range.
Mr. Mayor, so when we completed this process, they estimated around 330,000, but
Okay.
the committee that worked with them, Don Lombardo, Adam Salina, myself, Doug, and Jeff, felt that we should, as a next step, go out to bid and hire these guys to do the bid specifications so that we don't overbuild and build something that we don't really need. But Don Lombardo's in the business. He believes it's going to be probably $500,000-600,000 by the time we get the pricing back. But it's not 1.4 million as we had initially estimated. And there are sufficient funds available in this, around $1.8 million in this account. And also remember, the objective is to fix this, close it so that we can get $3 million plus in retainage. And actually move forward with the project.
And I assume, Arosh, that I won't assume, but that the Board of Ed, the superintendent, they're aware of what we're doing. I mean, we all agree to this, obviously, right? So they know what step of the process we're in, and they're good with everything too.
Yes. Remember when we all met as a group, we said that we hire a third independent party, and whatever they say, we're going to move forward with it. So this is the next step. And once we get the pricing, depending on where we land, we might have to either move directly or just work it through the Public Building Commission. But we'll keep that open for now.
Okay. That's great. That's great. It's moving along, and it'd be nice to ultimately put this project to bed and get it fixed and move on. So, all right. Any other comments or questions on this?
Mr. Mayor, the only thing I would say that, this was the deal that was kind of made, that you got everybody together to kind of narrow down the scope and put this out to bid so that we can close out the high school project and move forward. So I'm glad this is moving forward in this fashion.
Great. Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Okay, if not, we'll go ahead and take a motion.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, I move to approve a bid waiver for Innovative Construction and Design Solutions, LLC of Guilford, Connecticut for the amount of $18,695, which includes a 10% project contingency, and authorize the town manager to enter into phase 2 agreement for the design, bidding, and construction administrative services related to the installation and jacking on the Berlin High School exterior ductwork, as this is in the best interest of the town.
Okay. Second on that?
I second.
All right, any other motion on the floor? Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and vote on this motion. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Thanks, Doug. Agenda item number 3 is a request for Connecticut Trail Mixers, last person standing trail running race at Ragged Mountain. Maureen Tuesday.
Hi,
Hello.
thanks for having me. I'm Stacy Clark, and I'm here with Karen Prado, another race director, co-race director for this event. We held Run Ragged in 2019. We went through the process of holding it in 2020, so we've done it before. But a little background, we're CP Trail Mixers is a nonprofit organization, and we help people experience the joy of running in Connecticut. This year's race will be held Saturday, May 29th at 8 a.m. And all runners have 1 hour to complete the outline course or the course. And if they're not done within that hour, the loop begins again without them. So every hour you have an hour to complete the 3.11 mile loop. If you don't, you're out until the last person completes. That is the winner. We're limiting the race to 50 participants for environmental reasons. We don't want to have anything, we don't want to impact the trail more than we have to. And it's one of our favorite spots, so it will be well taken care of. No pets will be allowed. Parking will be at Bella's. We'll be shuttling to and from Bella's. We will not be parking at the trailhead. Waste, we have porta potties that will be ordered, the one porta potty, no two. The day before the race and picked up the Monday after. The race is cupless, so there's no cups for trash. That can sometimes be an issue, but the physical trash will be removed by race directors, and anyone caught littering will be disqualified. That's a normal rule. But we had such a good time in 2019. We're asking to come back and look forward to working with town staff in terms of logistical and safety measures.
Great. Thank you, Stacy. We're happy you want to come back. We're happy to have you back. And so I know you've done it before, so we're kind of all familiar with this, I think. So any questions for Stacy?
This is Maureen. I'm sorry about that. I just want to add that the Conservation Commission endorsed the event with their approval at their December meeting as well.
Oh, that's great. Thank you, Maureen.
Thanks, Maureen.
Okay, that's good to hear. Well, it sounds like a fun time. That's a fun trail up there. So great. If there's no other comments or questions, we'll go ahead and take a motion.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the request by the Connecticut Trail Mixers for a trail running race to take place at Ragged Mountain on May 29th, 2021, with the conditions that the applicants work with the town staff regarding logistical and safety measures.
Okay. Second on that?
I second the motion.
Okay, got a second. Any other comments or questions before we vote? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Stacy.
Thank you.
Got to have
So
you
much,
back.
guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Agenda item number 4 is the 2021 proposed Timberland Golf Course rates. And I have Jerry Salvio to give you a summary on where we are with that.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the council.
Hey, Jerry.
As you know, the golf course is tasked with having to match our revenue to our expenses. And with that being said, we've also tried to simplify the rates structure. And what I mean by that is in the past, you had many, many different categories, many different specials. And working with Arosh and with Kevin, we decided that we thought it was in the best interest for the course and for county principals as well, if we were to try and bring this in a little bit and make life a little bit more simple. Again, this is something new. We're not running any specials at face value. We have or possess the capability of discounting up to 30%. But what we're going to try and do is get our rate. In the past, we were running one continuous special. It says right at the top of our website, specials run all season long. I wasn't really in favor of that. I'm not saying that there isn't a place for specials. I do believe there are, or there is a place for a special, but when you're running something all season long, you kind of defeat the purpose of your rates at that point, and you're just getting the special rate. So rates kind of go out the window. So again, not to repeat myself, so we've tried to clean things up and become more simple. We were trying to remain competitive with the surrounding golf courses and look out for the resident, as well as encourage some non-resident play at the golf course. So that's my little introduction. One item of note, which I need to correct, is on the senior restricted resident rate. I believe, counselors and Mr. Mayor, you have a value of $420. That should be $460.
Right. Yeah, we saw that correction. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. And then again, if you look at the proposed rates going down, and I'm not going to go item by item. Again, resident, non-resident, senior greens fees, we're essentially flat. We haven't really gone up in any categories except for in the greens fee weekday 18 for the resident, we went up $1 to $30. We've reduced a number of categories, one of them being the non-resident seasons pass. I've reduced that by $200 to $13.95. Last year you were at $15.95. You weren't even close to anybody else within our as far as we're comparing to. So hopefully by reducing it by a couple $100, we'll encourage more non-resident seasons passes and get more non-resident play to come into Timberland as well as the town itself. I did decrease the senior unlimited non-resident rate by $200 to bring us in line with the competition. We're not the cheapest, but we're certainly not the most expensive. So I think that's a good place to start. Greens fees weekdays for non-residents, we've reduced by $2. And I can keep going on, but essentially we're staying flat in our rates. We did it, like I said, decrease some. And the other thing we did, not to get too far ahead, we've taken out the CIP and the sales tax. So what you're seeing are truly the rates or the revenue generated by the golf course. The CIP and sales tax has been carved out. That isn't revenue. So my opinion was, well, if it's not revenue, why are we including it in our revenue? I know Kevin is backing it out, but still I like to keep things clean and simple. And so again, what you're seeing for numbers are actual revenue numbers. So, with all that, when you look at the final numbers and you're looking at a revenue in 2021, if all the stars align and everything works out, of $1,355,339. We have expenses of $1,341,157, a difference of $14,182. So I think that leaves us a little bit of a cushion should there be some rainy weekends, should there be something unexpected, a tropical storm or something like that. But we do need that little bit of a cushion, I believe, so that we can account for any unforeseen events. So again, I did the best I could, and we did the best we could coming up with these rates to match the town's ordinance of matching the revenue to the expenses. And I hope the council looks at them, gives it some serious thought. And again, this doesn't mean we can't run specials. We do possess that capability. So if we monitor play daily, weekly, monthly, and we see things aren't going well, then we can adjust. And I think and then it becomes a true sport, not just a low rate throughout the golf season. It may be a bitter pill for some to swallow because they're used to the lower rates, but I was never in favor. I just don't believe in being the low cost provider. Again, the analogy I use is, how many Mercedes do you see in the Walmart parking lot? You don't. Not that we're Walmart, but if we're going to strive to be better and bring more people to the course, to the town, because the two kind of go hand in hand, I think it's a place to start. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know, what's going to happen this year. The pandemic was certainly an anomaly. I use a 3-year average. I did include 2020, knowing that, it was a year that was a record year for all golf courses. It wasn't just us, it was everybody. But when I did the 3-year average, from that, I even backed out and was very conservative in my play stats as to what I thought the golf course could do. So it wasn't just take the 3-year average. We knew 2020 was an anomaly. 18, 19, you had a good year, you had a bad year, so it kind of washed. Like I says, I even backed off from that 3-year average, trying to give myself a little wiggle room, knowing that the pandemic, hopefully, most likely, is on its way out. Massachusetts is no longer closed. New York is no longer closed. People have returned to work, and I think you're not going to see the year that you have. Maybe you will. I don't know that you had last year, but again, I tried to take all that into account. I really didn't want to base my rates on 1 year, and that year being 2020. I didn't think that was a fair assumption, being that it was, a year where we did 48,000 rounds, and we've never done that before. So that's about it, folks. I don't know if you have any questions. And again, let me just kind of summarize by saying this. We all know as business people, there's two sides to a balance sheet. There's your revenue and your expense side. Just because we're doing this on the revenue side doesn't mean that we don't, or we shouldn't take a look at our expense side as well and make any cuts there. And speaking with Arosh and with Kevin, I think in the coming days and weeks, we are going to be sitting down trying to work all this out, get our expenses down, and again, hopefully this is a good plan going forward and a workable plan going forward.
Okay, Jerry, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Appreciate all the hard work on it. I know we've been paying a lot of attention to our golf course, and with good reason. It's a great asset to the town, so I appreciate that. It, to me anyway, makes sense what you've said. But other counselors, questions for Jerry?
Mark?
Yes.
Just, this seems to be a more cogent awareness of what's going on. How confident, Terry, are you that this will meet our expenses?
I'm fairly confident in that. Like I said, when I use the 3-year average, and then backing off from that, knowing what Timberland is capable of doing, or what they were capable of doing in days past, I'm confident, fairly confident, that we can achieve this. Again, I don't control the weather, and unfortunately, we're in a business where weather is a huge factor. Last year, in addition to the pandemic, we had a very long season. We opened the course in February. That's never happened. And we stayed open. It wasn't that we opened and closed. We essentially pretty much stayed open all year long. That's not going to happen this year. The pandemic, I don't want to rely on that. I don't want to have to say, well, every year we're going to do 48,000 rounds. I don't even know that the golf course could continue to sustain the 48,000 round a year number. I don't, from a maintenance standpoint. So again, we have to also look at the other side, the expense side. We need to get that down. And then by doing that, if we need to go in next year and readjust and lower our prices, that's fine. all we're doing is coming in line with everybody else. That's all we're doing. And we're fulfilling the town's requirement or the town's ordinance of, hey guys, you got to match one with the other. And then that's where I'm coming from. I guess in a roundabout way, I answered your question, but I didn't. But how confident am I? I wish I had like I said, I wish I had a crystal ball. I hope we can. I'm fairly confident we can, based on the numbers that I ran and what I backed off. Some categories I backed off 25%. It was hard. It was hard because you had so many different categories. You had so many different specials. So I had to kind of say, okay, that's an 18-hole round. That's that's a 18-hole resident, non-resident. So this first year was extremely difficult to get everything brought in to a point where we just have these few rates. So it's a crapshoot. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm pretty confident in the work that we've done. But who knows? We may not open until April. We may close on Halloween. We may have the Halloween blizzard like we did years ago. So, but I hope. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry, Rob.
This is sorry to interrupt you. So, it's fair to say, Peter, that Jerry has taken a conservative approach. He's not basing his revenues on the highest number of rounds that we had. He's taking a 3 average. It's a conservative approach. And then the second one, that's always, if the weather permitting, there's, people are still willing to come out and play. So we might have, somewhat of a better round, better season. And the second one is we are also being careful with our expenses. We're not filling the director of golf for this 1 year. Jerry's been kind enough to step up and help out during this interim period, but we would hire a maintenance type of person for the grounds because you need another body in there. So with the reduction in expenses and a conservative approach in revenue projections, weather permitting, of course, golf is dependent on weather a lot. We're fairly confident that we are going to make this bogey. No pun intended.
I have to say I like this approach that's being taken. And, as far as crystal balls, sometimes rubber balls are better than crystal balls. But I appreciate the situation you're in. And, we look forward to working with you to try and get over this.
Right. And, one more thing, Peter. Mr. Mayor, you mentioned this last time. I'm planning perhaps before the end of February, talk to Mr. DeFazio as well, to get a meeting together, the council and the golf commission to answer the bigger question. Jerry and I and Kevin, we can all do whatever the town wants, but we need to first answer the question about how we want to structure the Timberland Golf Course. Do you want to set it up similar to an enterprise fund where you peg your price into market and are competitive and maximize revenues and plow back money into the golf course and the clubhouse and the grounds? Or do we want to set it up as an amenity for the town where it's subsidized by a certain amount? Those are bigger questions. And I think if we get together as a group and have a conversation and answer that question, then we'll follow with appropriate expenditure reductions and appropriate measures to manage that, as well as, marketing and advertising and try to drum up more business. So before the end of the month, I'd like to schedule that meeting. We have talked about it. And I think
be great.
People in the Golf Commission will be looking forward to that conversation, and so will be the town council.
Yeah, I appreciate you working on that, Arosh. Yeah, we need to start that conversation, and you're right. We really need to get a conceptual plan, right, going forward, and then we can go from there. But I think this is a good way for now till we get those discussions going, and appreciate Jerry all the work, and I do appreciate you stepping up in the absence of the last director. So thank you for that. It does seem to be the common sense approach right now, which is always a good thing. So any other counselors?
I have one question. Can you hear me, Mark?
Yes. Go ahead,
Mayor.
Jen. Yeah.
I had gotten your revenue number, but I did not hear what you had said, what your expense number was roughly. Did you say roughly what your expense number was? I missed that.
Yes, it's $1,341,000.
Okay, and it was 1,355,000 for the revenue, correct?
That is correct, yes.
Okay, all right. And that was based off of last year and the year before, or the past 3 years in terms of expenditures, what your thinking is? I mean, because we're not hiring, we didn't replace Zuck this year, so that number was backed out as well, correct?
That is correct, but we added in a blue collar position,
Okay,
but that has been taken into account.
okay, all right. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for all your hard work. This is great.
Well, I hope so. I'll tell you, I've always said this, there is no better piece of real estate in central Connecticut than Timberland.
It's
There isn't.
beautiful. It's beautiful.
It is by far, and it's not because I worked there, it's not because I grew up there. It is by far the most beautiful place in central Connecticut. I treat it like my own, and we all do. I shouldn't say me, whether it's me or Peter DeFazio or Mark, right? We all treat it like our own. And I know it will succeed. It will succeed. We just have to get over this little hump, and I do believe we will be just fine at the end of the day. I really do.
And Jerry, you feel comfortable with where you place these, the season passes in comparison to Stanley, et cetera? You don't think we're outpricing ourselves?
No, if anything, we're on the cheap side. You know, there's a number of courses, and I think you've got the course comparison in front of you.
I did. I have it here.
And just for example, Rockledge, Hunter, Southington, Simsbury Farms do not offer resident rates. So
That's
our
not true.
residents.
Not true.
Okay, what's true then?
They have benefit cards at Stanley. Benefit card gets them a discount off of that rate, Jerry. So, I mean, am I gonna get a chance to speak as well? Since I'm on the commission, is that allowed?
Yeah, sure, Peter. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm okay. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm gonna just preface this by saying that, you know, because of the ordinance, we really had no choice but to meet expenses, which is fine. How the commission has been in full swing for what, 2 years?
Yes.
And in 2 years, the golf course has shown a profit, right? So, you know, I'm gonna kind of say that I'm hoping that between the commission and Jerry / John and Mark, that we made things work. And this is a major risk that we're taking this year. You know, Jerry mentioned all these other golf courses, and all these other golf courses, when you walk into these golf courses and you drive into their parking lots, golfing experience starts right there.
Yep.
Our golfing experience doesn't start until they're out on the golf course. You have a clubhouse that is subpar. We have parking lots that are bumpy and everything else. It's not as aesthetically pleasing overall. So in these rates, we are not giving any specials. However, last year, the weekday was the most golfed part of the day. Weekday afternoons were probably the busiest that we've been. Why? Because we offered golf for $40 with a cart. Okay. That same golfer, that same out-of-town golfer, starting day one at Timberland, will pay $58 and change, $40. So we're taking a risk. It takes 50 attaboys to get rid of one, you know what, right? So if we lose that golfer permanently, and we do decide that this isn't working and we do reduce rates, they may not come back. So the whole premise is, from Jerry's rates, are that we'll get less play, but the revenue will make up for it. Now, this is a COVID year, right? So it may well be. We this year may well be. But on a normal day, on a normal year, when there's baseball and everybody else, I don't know that they'd come to Timberland for 58 and change during the week. I don't know. But you know what? We have to do this because of this whole ordinance thing. So we're going to find out once and for all, right? This will be a pretty decent way to tell whether or not this works. But you know, our pros kind of very hesitant with these rates. The Golf Commission is very hesitant with these rates. We went down on weekend rates when that should be the prime, right? So we actually went down on the weekend, but we're at the same time, we did not want to punish the resident by jacking up their rates. I mean, these are taxpayers, right? So the only place to really make up for lost ground is the weekday rate, which Jerry, you know, took advantage of here. But, you know, what we were doing was working. We made money. This year we made quite a bit of money, I think. Well, you know, well, seasonally we did anyway, to the tune of like 60 grand so far. But COVID has a lot to do with it, of course. But this will be, I just want to make sure that the council knows that if this doesn't work, you know, we can't be pointing fingers at the Golf Commission here, because this is a very big risk that we're taking. That's all. And Jerry's working very hard, and we love him. But at the same time, you know, this was more a plan. This was more mostly Jerry and not so much commission and pro. That's all I'm saying. But we voted on it, and we're gonna try to make it work for sure, because we're a pretty good team up there. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Peter. So,
Thank you.
so
You're
the
welcome.
commission did vote for it, though, correct?
Yeah. Well,
yes. or
yeah. No.
Did you vote?
And that's what I said. We voted for it, and we're going to stick with it. I mean, there was consensus that, you know, I'll be honest with you. You're a golfer. You came to Timberland last year. You paid $40. Now we're in a pandemic, and you're going to pay $58. What are you going to think Timberland says? Well, they're price gouging. I mean, if we may be in line with another course or not, but that's the perception is now that we're taking advantage of a situation, you know? So
Were we not in line with the other courses? Like, I thought we've heard that tonight as well. Were we kind of way out of whack? We were the cheap one in all the courses.
well, that's that's not a very accurate statement. Some courses, a lot of courses were cheaper. Gillette Ridge, for instance, you'll never hear Gillette Ridge mentioned. Gillette Ridge last year, $32 with 18 with a cart, and you get a free beer.
Are they making money?
I don't know.
Well, that's a question we got to ask, though.
But wait a minute. But did we make money? we made money.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So this is a risk, and even Jerry knows it's a risk. Everybody knows it's a risk. But we can't, if this doesn't work, you know, you can't come down and say, well, the golf course lost all kinds of money, because we were on a trend of things working, and now we're kind of, you know, messing with the apple cart here. So just want to make sure that everybody's aware that we're doing what you want, but it's a risk.
Well, I mean,
we didn't come up with 2 rates this year like we did the past 2 years, right?
Right.
We can't keep doing that. We can't. So can't fight City Hall. So we're going to play with you guys.
Well, it seems like we simplified it, which to me is probably a good thing, and I understand.
Guaranteed.
Trying something different, which, you know, I think we all understand may or may not work, but I think that's why we're going to go forward and have our meetings too, you know.
And that really should happen. That has to happen.
It's going to happen. Yeah, no, it needs to. And you know, we need to look at the whole scenario and figure out what the best way is going forward. But
excellent. Listen, we're going to try and make this all work out. And I just want to go on the record saying that Jerry's doing a fine job there, and we appreciate it. All he's doing as well.
Good question, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
Jerry or maybe Peter, you can answer this. Listen, I played a lot of golf last year, and it was real hard to find a tee time.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things that happened last year, a lot of the outings got canceled. So what I didn't know is, in your numbers, do you include the outings and those number of golfers that play on that particular day, or is that outside the scope of what you're doing here?
No, that all gets taken into account.
Okay.
That all gets taken into account. And yes, you know, we all know this is something new. But again, we all know the definition of insanity is, you know, keep doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. We just went through a pandemic year where we've never done 48,000 rounds ever at Timberland. I'm not looking in the short term, I'm looking long term. So now what's going to happen 2 years from now, 3 years from now, when we're back to the same old, you know, 45,000 rounds, hopefully. If we were to continue with what we were doing, there's no way we could support ourselves. There's no way. You can't, and Peter's right, you know, about Gillette or whatever, but then, you know, Mr. Mayor, you asked how they're making money. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question, but I'm trying to look towards the future. If you do this now, yes, it's going to be sticker shock to some people. It is. There's no doubt about it. But all I know is you can't continue to sell golf at $20 a round. You can't do it. I'll tell you right now, you can't do it. And if you think you can, you may as well just close the doors right now, because it's not going to happen. So, Peter, I love him to death, and I respect him, and Jim and Mark and everybody. This is not an easy pill to swallow, but I think we're in line with everyone. And again, we still have that ability to run a special or back off on our rates. We do. So that's all I got to say. I mean, I respect Peter, and I will always, you know, listen to him, but this is something we had to do as per the town ordinance. We can't rely on a pandemic to make money. We can't do that.
I said that we have to do this, and and part of me is I'm glad that we are, so that we can finally see one way or another.
Absolutely, you're right. Absolutely.
The only thing that we're not really considering here is that we're going to get a lot less traffic, or at least I think so. And with a lot less traffic, that means a lot less people in the restaurant. And that restaurateur suffered last year. He jacked up his rent this year. Now he's going to get less traffic still. Is that really fair to a local business? And, you know, so less people at the golf course, less people in the restaurant, and so on and so forth. We don't know, but we'll make it work. We'll see what happens. Thank you all so much, though. Appreciate it.
Thanks,
Peter. Thank you, Jerry. So, and let me just clarify. You know, I don't think we're in the business necessarily of making money here, but I think the purpose of the ordinance was to just cover the expenses. You know, that's really what we were looking to do from years gone by. So that's really where we're at. You know, we're not. I don't think any of us think that, you know, we're going to make millions of dollars off this. That's not the point. The point is to try and cover expenses. You know, we have some other town departments that we have, you know, issues with, and we can't go about it. We have to try and be as fiscally responsible as we can. Yet, you know, we want to keep the golf course the beautiful place that it is. So I think it's worth a shot, myself, from what I've heard. And yeah, I mean, no one's going to point fingers. You're doing what the ordinance tells you to do, and you know, let's see how it goes. And again, you have the ability to make adjustments during the year too. So that's even a better thing. Oh, nice tune. Good. So we have
Mr. Mayor,
the ability to make changes. Yes.
if you read the ordinance, you know, after consultation with the golf commission, it's the town manager that ultimately submits you the fees and the rates.
Right.
So by all means, point the finger at me if things go wrong. I think that's fine.
Okay.
Never,
No, come on. We don't want to do that, Raj.
never.
No, we're not looking. No one's looking to do that. Listen, we're all in this together. It's our town. It's our golf course. So, you know, we're all trying to work on this together, and I'm sure ultimately we'll come up with the best solution. May take a little while. Could be painful. Maybe it won't be painful. Let's hope it's not. But you know, we're working on it, and I think that's what we're tasked to do. All of us, Golf Commission, and the council, and Jerry, and the management out at Timberland. So we appreciate it. Any other comments? Questions? Okay. Hearing none. Appreciate good discussion. go ahead and go ahead and take a motion on this.
Hey, Mr. Mayor, Councilor Luddy here. I move to approve the 2021 Timberland Golf rates as amended tonight.
All right, thanks. Second on that?
I second the motion.
Okay. Any other comments or questions before we vote? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Jerry. Thank you, Peter.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night.
Agenda item number 5 is the 2021 fee schedule, and I will turn it over to Kevin.
Yeah.
Good evening. I think these are probably going to go a little bit quicker. You have in front of you a 14-page document with all of the fees. The golf course fees are included, and of course will be updated for the adjustment that Jerry mentioned earlier. This is feedback from all of the various department heads, taking a look at their cost structure, taking a look at what other areas are doing, and also consulting with other folks who are in the same business in other towns. Coming up with that, there's only one new fee added to the schedule this year, and that is a 50-cent photocopy fee in animal control. That brings it in line with other departments, consistent with other towns, and it's really just a fee for those who come in looking for copies for items. There are 4 main fee changes, excluding the golf course, of course. Last year, the library eliminated overdue fees for seniors and for children. This year, after consulting with her consortium, Helen looked and said the direction that libraries are moving is eliminating these fees altogether. So she's proposing to eliminate all overdue fees. It's not a major revenue generator. I mean, the library generated less than $6,000 of fee revenue. So this is not a major source of revenue or a hit for the town. But Helen does feel that it is an opportunity to step forward and probably encourage more use of the library, more foot traffic, and make it more friendly. The second area is Parks and Rec. Annually, Parks and Rec looks at their fees, and this is really in response to some of the rising costs. As I'm sure no surprise, many of the folks who work for Parks and Rec are working at minimum wage or near minimum wage. And of course, the state has a multi-year increase to get up to $15. With that, the minimum wage will be rising, and even those that are near minimum wage will be going up as well. And so this is really a few modest increases to kind of try to keep partial pace so that the entire burden would not be pushed on to all of the taxpayers. The third area is Roche is proposing to increase the blighted buildings fee from $100 to $150. Again, this is a fee only by those who fall under the blighted ordinance. So it's a very small number, but it's in direct response to those who are not maintaining their building. And then finally is the Central Connecticut Health District. These are fees that are in the fee schedule. They are published and run by the Central Connecticut Health District. It's revenue that goes to the health district. And so each year we look at the fees, we update the schedule based on what they've published, and then you'll see the second part of the motion tonight is to give me the authority that should they publish updated rates during the year, I would just update the schedule and post it onto the website without having to come back to you for approval on fees we don't control. So with that, that's kind of the summary of the areas of change that are in there, and I'll see if there's any questions.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. Questions for Kevin, counselors?
Good.
Nothing seems outrageous. Seems pretty reasonable from what you've explained and what we've looked at. No questions? No concerns? Okay. We'll go ahead and take a motion on this.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt the 2021 fee schedule and allow amendments to the 2021 fee schedule to include updated regional health district fees if necessary.
Okay, second on that? Second?
I second it.
All right, thank you. Any other questions or concerns before we vote? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Thank you. Thank you, Kevin. Okay.
Aroshi, you're muted.
Just realized I mute myself, sorry. Agenda item number 6 is the authorization for the town manager to apply for a grant for the control of aquatic invasive species. These are fun things, and Steve would bit more to talk about this.
Good evening, everybody. So the DEP, through boating registrations, has set aside somewhere around $350,000 for municipalities to apply for grants to treat the invasive species, kind of along the lines of what we did at Paper Goods last year. What we're asking for is for your approval to apply for the grant, and we're responsible for 25% of that, which will be part of the Parks and Grounds budget under waterway treatments moving into 2021, 2022. Working with Jim Mahoney, our game plan is this. We'd like to interview 2 companies that primarily do it in all of Central Connecticut, which is Water and Wetland, and the other one is Solitude. Whichever company we think best suits our needs is to have them come in front of the council to ensure what happened at Paper Goods doesn't ever happen again this summer. And that is our game plan.
Okay, great. Yeah, I know we had a little bit of a problem there, huh? Last time. Yeah, that's good. That's great. Keep these things in control, and it's good we're getting some grant money for it. Any questions for Steve? Comments from the council?
No, good.
Everybody's good? Okay. Thank you, Steve. We'll go ahead and take a motion.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, I move to authorize the town manager to apply for a grant of $20,000 and enter into agreements related to the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection's Aquatic Invasive Species Control Grant Program for the purpose of aquatic invasive species control at Paper Goods Pond and Railroad Pond.
Okay, second.
I second the motion.
Okay, any other comments or questions? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Steve.
Thanks, guys. Have a great night.
You too.
Agenda item number 7 is construction equipment rental contract. I believe Mike Ahern's on the line.
Yes, I am. Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
You can.
Hi, Mike.
Hi, guys. Yeah,
Mike.
this is a 2-year. Yes.
Hey, by the time, but before you start, nice job on the roads again with all the snow. You did a great job as always. So thank you to your whole crew, and you did a good job.
Hey, it wasn't me. It was the highway department and the Parks and Grounds guys, and then you had the garage guys supporting them. So I didn't plow one road.
No, I know. That's why I put on to everybody, as I said to Steve, and you guys always when I go to other towns, and I do frequently. Our roads, honestly, are always the best, and that's true. I'm not just blowing smoke there, That's the way it is.
No, I drove around, and you're right. They look really good. I mean, even around midday, they were looking almost clear, fully clear. So
Really?
Yeah.
But thank you.
Thanks. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, we put a bid out for a 2-year construction equipment rental contract, and this is for construction equipment such as dump trucks, excavators, backhoes, bulldozers, with operators. So the rates that you see on the spreadsheet are with operators and the equipment itself. And we got 7 bids. Jim Horville went through and highlighted, you'll see first, second, third. So out of those 7 bids, actually a lot of the rates were very competitive with each other. So we'd like the opportunity to use 5 of those companies. Those companies are listed on your sheet. And this gives us the ability to pull POs without getting quotes or going out to bid for every individual situation. And it came in very handy in August when that storm blew into town. We actually used 2 on-call contractors to help us out with that. So we're looking for approval to retain or actually just use on an as-needed basis the 5 firms listed on your sheet.
Okay,
Sure.
thanks. That makes sense. Seems like it's working well. You have any questions, any counselors? Okay, if no questions, no concerns, we'll go ahead and take a motion.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, I move to authorize the town manager to utilize the attached bid results for the equipment rental contract 2021-11, utilizing the services of JV3 Construction, Earth Contractors, Stacks Construction Services, Butler Construction Company LLC, Martin Laverio Contractor Inc., when issuing future purchase orders to one or more firms, depending on the availability and which one results in the lowest cost to the town.
All right. Second on that?
I second it.
Okay. Any other last minute comments, questions, concerns? Hearing none. Motion on the floor. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Mike. You have one more item.
Mike.
Agenda item number 8. Yep. It's a policy revision for mailbox damage by town snowplows. But congratulated him for yesterday.
I'm just kidding.
I know. I might regret the timing of this one. So anyway, yeah, the original policy was put in place 24 years ago, so I think it's up for a little up for updating, and we have received complaints. Right now, if a mailbox and/or post get damaged, we'll reimburse a resident $15 for the mailbox and/or $25 for the post. If you go to Home Depot or Lowe's, you'll realize that that's a little under the current, purchase price for some of these things. So we did a little research, and we want to increase the mailbox reimbursement to $35 and a post to $40. And these are just standard mailboxes, pressure treated 4x4 posts with an arm. It's not just the post; it's actually the arm the mailbox sits on. And this was brought up. We've had complaints. People said, it altogether would be like $40 for the whole thing if we knock the post and a mailbox over. So I think the complaints have been legitimate. So we want to update this to $35 a mailbox and $40 for a post. And hopefully and it still is a little undervalued, but we don't want to make this like an incentive program. So I think it's a reasonable approach to people when we do damage, their mailbox and posted arms.
Okay. No, this seems to make sense. Hey, out of curiosity, how many times does this occur? I mean, just rough estimate. I don't need exact numbers, but.
Yeah. No, actually, we thought that I was actually curious too, so I at least to pull some numbers. This season so far, we've had 38 claims. We're up to about $1,400. She pulled another year. It was a busy year. There were 55 claims. It was $1,470. So I think it was between $1,400 and $1,500. It's going to probably double and a little bit more with the changes here, but I think it's a legitimate increase. It's more than what you're going to pay it just for standard equipment. So I think it probably would be ranging like around 50 a year, 55 a year, depending on the year.
Okay. All right. Appreciate that.
Sure.
Counselors, any questions, concerns? Okay, hearing none. We'll go ahead and take a motion on this.
Okay, Councilor Luddy here. I move to revise the current town council policy entitled Mailbox Damage by Town Snowplows, established December 16th, 1997, to provide monetary reimbursement of $35 per mailbox and or $40 per post, which must be reported within 45 days of the damage being inflicted.
Second on that?
I second it.
Okay. And I see what you mean, Mike. Yeah, 1997. It's probably time for an update. Yeah, that's a good thing.
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Okay. Any other motion on the floor? Any other comments or questions? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
Great. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you. Good night.
Thanks, Mike.
Good night.
Good night. Okay, we're down to our appointments. So what do we have, Kate? We have a few more to appoint. Looks like here.
Yes, today we received an application from James Green. He would like to go on to the Golf Course Commission.
Okay.
He is a Democrat, and it can be filled with a Democrat.
Okay. And I obviously assuming they have a vacancy.
Yes, yes. It's number 3 on your agenda.
Number 3, Golf Commission. Okay. Okay. We'll go ahead and take a nomination for the Golf Commission.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, I'll nominate Mr. James Green.
Okay. Any other nominations for that spot? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and close the nominations. And all those in favor of Mr. Green? Aye.
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 Opposed? All right. Welcome. Welcome to the Golf Commission.
Your next appointment would be for the Historic District. Amy has been a regular member. She asked to be moved down to an alternate. So this kind of was the cleanup from a week ago.
Okay. Remember that? Yes. Remember that discussion? Okay. We'll go ahead and nominate for the Historic District alternate.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, for Historic District alternate, I will nominate Amy Pressure.
Okay. Any other nominations? Hearing none, go ahead and close the nominations. All those in favor of Amy? Aye.
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 Any opposed? All right. Welcome, Amy.
The next one is also somebody that we received today. Robert Izzo? Izzo? He had put in for economic development, Central Connecticut tourism, and inland wetlands. There's no openings on economic development, and I'm the one seated right now at Central Connecticut tourism. So he could be appointed to inland wetlands.
Okay. Yeah, and that's one of the choices he wanted, right?
Yes. And we have really 2 openings. We have one for the regular seat, which is your item number 5. There's also alternate, but we should fill the regular vacancy first.
Okay. Okay. We'll go ahead and take a nomination on that opening.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, I will nominate Mr. Robert Izzo for Inland Wetlands.
Okay. Any other nominations for that position? Hearing none, close nominations. All those in favor, Robert? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. Welcome, Robert.
Dropping down to number 9, Andrew Legnani had been appointed to Parks and Rec last week, but he also would like to be on planning and zoning as a second choice, and this would be an alternate position.
That's crazy. Isn't that crazy?
Okay. And we have that. Yeah. Okay. We have that open there. Okay. Okay. We'll go ahead and take a motion for this planning and zoning alternate spot.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, I will nominate Andrew Legnani for the Planning and Zoning Commission alternate spot.
Okay. Any other nominations for that position? Hearing none, we'll close the nominations. All those in favor of Andrew? Aye.
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 Okay. Welcome, Andrew.
All right, and then dropping down to number 11, Fran Jasinski would like to be reappointed to the VNA. She hasn't submitted an application, but she's been on there for several years, and she's been great. And we do need people on the VNA.
Yeah, we have a lot of vacancies, so we appreciate someone stepping up again. So we'll go ahead and take a motion on that.
And Mr. Mayor, I will nominate Fran Jasinski for the spot in the VNA.
Thank you. Any other nominations for that position? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and close the nominations. All those in favor of Fran?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? So welcome Fran back to the VNA. And that's the last one, right, Kate?
Yes.
And well, so thank you. Congratulations to everyone, and thank you for stepping up to volunteer. We appreciate it. All right. Where we at? Town managers report. Here we are.
So, good news. I don't have anything to report since we spoke at length at the last meeting, but I do want to recap on 3 items that we need to schedule. One, Councilor Luddy, last time you asked about the energy payback program, and perhaps at the next meeting, Doug, Kevin, and I will present the information you requested. So that's coming down the pike.
Okay. Thank you.
The second one is the Timberland. I think it's really important that we have this meeting, and there are fundamental questions that have to be answered in terms of what the council would like or the town would like to do. We who work there will do whatever you want us to do. But, to say that Timberland makes money, it's not, in a business sense, it's not really making money if you're not putting a nickel towards renovating the clubhouse or just covering operations. You have to take a longer term approach. And there are golf clubs that do that. And I really know the 2 that I know well are the Blackledge in Hebron. It's a public golf course, but it's run like a private enterprise by an individual, and they do make money, and they manage it like an enterprise fund. So if you have capital improvements, you borrow and you put that in your budget, and you make the payments each year. So that's for all of you to decide, but I think let's have this meeting and see how we want to move forward. And then the rest is easy. Otherwise, we're going to go have this conversation every time the rates come up. And that is not the way to, have the operation go. So I'll schedule that sometime in February, perhaps a Thursday. That's when normally it might be easier when the commission meets, like at 6 o'clock. I'll see if we can get all of us on that time, and hopefully it'll be unfortunately, will be a remote meeting. That's how they meet as well. And the final one is, this is in my tickler file to do thing, the ordinance committee. Where we sort of hit the pause button on the leash law and the leash free area. I know the last time we had an ordinance of citizens, there was a request to wait until COVID and everything is over. I don't know whether we want to wait that long. This thing has been in discussion since 2012. You might argue, so why not wait another few more months? But I do think, I'm asking actually, what do you like to do with it? Because we probably ought to have a conversation about this and have some amended language and have some recommendations. There are folks from Conservation Commission to others. It's gone back many years. And talk about the parking lot there, it's all been reviewed. It went to P&Z, came back to council, but didn't want to move forward. So when I look back at these notes, it looks as if we are just going back and revisiting some of the things that we discussed before. So at some point, we have to come together and decide how we want to conclude this and then move forward with it.
If I may, we've been all over the map, and we've had so many meetings, and there's been so much, just disparity about everything. Is it possible for us to get like a summarization of, the locations that are available now, what offers parking, or doesn't offer parking, just so that, we can finally go in here and get something done with respect to this. It's ridiculous at this point.
Yeah, yes, answer is yes. I'll do a recap, go back and look at some minutes, and it's been bouncing around for a long time, and we ought to be able to make a decision, and it's time.
Yeah, it's time, and obviously we're not going to please everybody, but you know, we got to jump here. It's just getting to the point of ridiculous. That would be really helpful. So thank you.
Okay, thank. That's all I have.
Okay. Hey, Roche, just a couple things. One is, I know we talked about this. It's been discussed a little bit, I think, at the Board of Finance too. Remember, you know how we've asked for the new tax bill that comes out in June to have some type of information on how our taxes are spent and where, of course, where the money comes from as well. So in the latest audit report, there is the 2 pie charts, right, that break down where our tax dollars go and where our tax dollars to pay those expenses come from. So, you know, it seems to me we don't have to discuss it tonight, but we'll get, maybe next meeting if you could just get copies of those for us, and everyone can take a look at it. And I'm thinking of an insert in the tax bill, but we can think what the best way is to get those out. I mean, they're from our audit report, our most recent audit report, so they are accurate. I know Kevin Delaney's reviewed them. You have a Roche, the Board of Finance looked at them as well. So that to me, a pie chart is pretty simple to understand, right? Everyone understands a pie chart, and it would just serve the purpose of getting that out. And I just want to make sure we don't. I mean, I don't know when did those bills get printed? Was there? I mean, obviously we're out several months, but I just want to make sure we don't miss. We don't want to miss it this year.
Yeah, so no, we won't miss it. It'll go in with the tax bill. I think, Donna, you requested in December. We don't send the tax bills, but we put something on our website and then also on the Berlin Citizen. But we'll do an insert when the bills go out in June or so. We'll prepare for that. Normally, you would have by now have that comprehensive annual financial report. We have it with you. Normally, we hand deliver it to you at the council meeting, but of course, it's virtual. We'll try to get it to you somehow. This way, you can see the pie chart in that itself. So, if I may, in that, what they show is the total revenue components for the town and total expenditure components. So, not necessarily everything that is paid only from taxes, because only 70-something% of the revenues come from taxes. So for the Board of Ed, there are other components that pays for the education or run for the schools. So we have to talk about it. I think what we did, I know what we did in December was to take the actual taxpayers, what the taxpayers pay for the schools and for public safety and running the town. So we've got the ECS money and other things that the school gets. It's not fair to say that's taxpayer money. It's not, right? It's coming from outside source.
Well, it's all taxpayer money, just from a different taxpayer, the state. I mean, it's not free. It doesn't come from, right? I mean, it's all money that I think Berlin, what do we contribute? 45 million to the state in taxes or something. And some of that comes back to us in the form of grants and the ECS money. But maybe we can, I don't know what you think, Roche. We can look at the chart or the pie chart and see what we all think, and maybe be footnoted or, whatever we think works. To obviously we want the most accurate information out there.
Yeah. So let's get the pie chart, because that's the most recent and the accurate information that's out there. And the numbers are actually audited, and it's, accurate. So take a look at it, and then we'll decide what's the story you want to tell. Is it the total income, total expenses, or just the taxes that the Berlin residents pay and how your tax dollars go? Where it's allocated. So it's a conversation we can have.
Sure.
But, let's start there with what we have already.
All right. Yeah. So if we can put that on the agenda for February.
Yeah,
make
absolutely.
sure we have copies of that pie chart, and then and the numbers too, like the numbers you mentioned. I mean, I think we need to give them a full a full accounting of, where the money comes from, all of it comes from, and we could break it out. Maybe we break it out a little bit differently than those two pie charts, but
Yep.
I think they should have a pretty good picture of where the money comes from to run the town, whether it's from the state, grants, whatever it's from.
Yep.
It's all basically taxpayer money in the end, right? So, all right, appreciate that. And one other thing, Roach, I don't know if you want to hit the highlights, Donna or whoever. We had about an hour meeting with our legislators, our representatives last week. A brief meeting with them. We asked a bunch of questions on different things that we are interested in for the town. How do we? What do you think, Arosh? How do we summarize that?
Well, we had Kathy, Donna, and Rick.
Yes.
The broader areas we shared with them were questions about anticipated budget related items.
Right.
That the town could expect to not to have any surprises. And the message that we got was no, so far the governor and the General Assembly is not planning to do that. I mean, Donna, you can correct me if I'm
No,
saying
that's
something
based off of what we're hearing right now. Nothing is changing. And I am in receipt of a letter that you sent to myself and the other two the legislators and senator in regards to your nearly shovel-ready projects that are here in town, with the hopes that we'll be able to take a look at that.
Yeah.
When things begin to move along. Of course, we're behind the 8 ball right now with this COVID and not being able to get there, and meetings being remote. So we do have your letter.
Yeah, so we sent that. That was the second one about the shovel-ready projects. If it would qualify for state bonding, and obviously, if you can, we would like to submit an application for that. There, we had a conversation about the affordable housing, about the 10% requirement, and we are around 9.5%. If we could have some leverage, because there are multiple projects that are lined up in Berlin, and if we are close enough, would everything have to be considered 10%? The message that I got was that we are almost there. We should just get to 10%. That there is no appetite in the General Assembly to make any exceptions to that. That was the takeaway for me. And I think I think Rick mentioned this, said it very eloquently, that we should not consider this as a minimum requirement, and that these are the people who work in your towns, and school teachers and police officers and others who would be living. So encourage us to meet the 10%. Again, Donna,
according to what Rick Lopes had indicated, was that that was a minimum of 10% that they were looking for. And even though we've made such tremendous strides over the past years, he really was pushing for that in terms of being able to do anything below that 10%. So
there was some draft language that was passed around today. I got a copy of that. I think, Mr. Mayor, you had one too. Chris had forwarded a proposal to further tax towns that are under the 10%. So I believe the General Assembly is serious about this. And to me, I think we had a good point, 9.5%, and we got multiple projects lined up
in the pipeline.
And very soon we'll go with the 10%, and this way we don't have to, ask for exceptions from the General Assembly. I mean, that's what they're asking, and we're almost there. We should be proud of the progress that we have made, and we another 50-something units. That's all we are looking at. So with the senior housing and a couple of the other ones that lined up on the Berlin Turnpike, we should be able to get there.
Right.
And then, of course, the other one, Mr. Mayor, was the resolution that we passed about the juvenile and adult crime bill and the request for a meeting with the General Assembly and the governor. And, I think I forwarded the good article. We got some publicity in the Hartford Courant about the Berlin resolution and what the deputy chief talked about. It was in the Hartford Courant. So there was a little back and forth there about, what the General Assembly did the last few years, and there was some disagreements whether those actions taken had a direct correlation to what happened right now with car thefts and all. So it was a good conversation. We had, so we are asking still to meet with the General Assembly and the governor and see what we can do to, keep the town safe.
Right.
You might want to elaborate a little bit, Mr. Mayor, if you want to.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
we also, and right, we just sent that resolution to our legislators, and I believe it's been sent to the governor, I believe, from all the towns. I think that got to the governor's office by now. As far as I know, I think they were looking to schedule the mayors of the various towns in our area. We were looking to schedule a meeting with him. I don't know exactly where that stands. I know they were talking to his scheduler I think last week. So we'll see where that goes. There does seem to be some disagreement on some things with the legislators the other night, but that's why we need to have a conversation, because I don't think everybody's on the same page. So we appreciate that conversation. And the other thing we added when we talked about affordable housing, right, was the senior housing, which they didn't seem to be aware of how difficult it is to get financing for senior projects. We know it has to do with the tax credits is really where it's at. So we did express that concern that I think all the towns have that from what we know. And certainly we've been having some trouble with that. So I think we might have our solution from Joe Bajorski recently, but we made them aware of how difficult it has been to get that senior project financed. So, and just as far as the crime goes, I think we saw a lull the last couple of weeks, and I think from what I heard the last couple of days, they are back at it in Berlin at night. So, and I know we're getting going with the neighborhood watch programs, and obviously we have information out there from the police department in several different venues to make sure everybody's aware of what's happening, and hopefully we can go forward with some conversations with the state on maybe some fixes that might help things a little bit. So that's kind of where we're at with that. So I think that I just want to make sure everybody's aware. We had some good discussions, and we'll have some more in the future, just to make our legislators aware of what our individual town problems are. And I mean, a lot of them affect all the towns. The last one I wanted to mention, we did mention to them the 1 mil statewide tax, right, on property, which has been proposed. They did not seem to think that would be something that would pass, but they didn't know. Obviously, it's very early in the session, as we know. But here again, another tax. Let's hope they don't go through with that one, because that would affect commercial and residential. And with everyone suffering from COVID, I think another mill rate on our property tax is not the way to go, as we try and be fiscally responsible in Berlin and help our residents with no tax increase. We don't need another mill rate from the state, but that's my opinion. So anyway, good conversation. We got our point across, and we'll do some more of those. Thanks to Roach for the recap, and Donna for being there.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Mayor.
Our other legislators too. Appreciate their time. Okay, so special committee reports. I don't think we have any.
Nope.
And council communications.
Mark?
Folks, what do you got? Anything?
Mark?
Yes. Yeah.
Just question, how do we make out, or how are we making out with the blight on 77 Elton Road? We have any progress?
It's a good question. So, I know we left it last time that we were supposed to, as I recall, do some more cleanup there, Roche, and
Yeah, so this is very, I'm gonna have to ask some of you to mute. I don't know why it's giving this feedback. Sorry. It's something that's been very frustrating to me to move forward swiftly and take some action. Part of the reason the person is still paying property taxes on that. And then before I got here, Jennifer Capola had worked with the judge to go in there and got an order for us to go and clean it and fix it once. And after that, we have not been able to go in there. When I asked Jennifer, she said you can't go in there again without either she has to reach out to the person, and which has been very difficult. If not, we had to go back again to the court to get their permission to do it. That's where we are right now. Last week, 2 weeks ago, I had a complaint from a neighbor, and we had the building department in there, the health department, try to see if there's anything that we can find that might allow us to go in there and remedy, but we couldn't. So we are back to square one. She has tried to process it to try to contact the owner. If not, she has to go back to court and get permission to go in there again. I don't know, Jeff, if you want to add anything in terms of the legalities and why it's so difficult to get something done in this environment.
Right, it's a due process issue, the inability to locate and serve the property owner prevents us, absent a modification of the prior court order, from doing more. So we need some assistance from the court, and due to the restrictions on processing non-priority civil matters, it's difficult to get any kind of a action out of the court.
So Jeff, hopefully with as we get through the year, hopefully the courts open up a little bit more, we can get another order, because I know there were some things I believe we cleaned up on the property, but I know there were still a couple items in the back there, or several items, or another pile of stuff that we didn't get to at that first time, apparently.
That's right.
So
That's right.
We'll have to go back in, right, and get the order and clean it up.
Correct. Yep.
And we still
That's in process.
Can we not find this guy still again, or do we? I thought we found him once, I believe. For the first.
Yep. It's a lien against the property.
Okay. All right. So as soon as we can get back to court, we'll hopefully we can get in there and clean some more up. And it proves to be a very difficult case.
Thank you.
Thanks, Pete, for checking on that. I feel bad for the neighbors. I talk to them from time to time, and tell them we're trying to do the best we can under the circumstances. Anyone else? Comments, questions, counselors? All right. Hearing no one, we'll go ahead and close that. And acceptance of our January 26, 2021 meeting. We'll take a motion. Anyone? Brendan, anyone?
I said so moved, is what I said.
Okay.
So moved.
We got a second on that. Second?
I second it.
All right, we got a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. And we'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make
Good.
a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right. Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. You too.
Bye-bye.
Good night, Mayor.
Bye.
Night.
Good night. I think some of them had muted, maybe. I don't know. Some of them had muted, I think. They're all asleep. They're all taking naps.